Most first-time home buyers have no idea that their agent has never actually closed an FHA loan, and they don't find out until the deal, it's already in trouble. Now, I've watched these for years. Folks that do it right, folks that do it wrong, and those that are stuck in the middle. The victims of this are you, because you had no idea if your teammates were the right people to be surrounding yourself with. And in those cases, you don't find out until it's too late, until the deal has fallen apart. So today, that's why we're going to go through the 5 questions that help you know that you have the right teammates. And it's all going to be right here. And we're going to go through this question that I just got, and we're going to go through our process. We're going to talk about the life reasons first, why we're moving, why we want these right teammates. We're going to figure out how to optimize this situation for wealth. And then we're going to focus on the real estate. So let's get to it with this listener question. It was, hey, Weldon, I just accepted a job offer in Austin and I'm relocating out of state. This is my first time purchasing a home, and I'm planning to use an FHA loan. I've been reaching out to agents and they all say they work with first-time home buyers all the time. But I have no idea how to tell who actually knows FHA loans versus who's just saying that. I can't afford to pick the wrong one. Thank you. That's awesome. I love the part in here where you have that self-awareness to say, I don't want to pick the wrong one. That's all what we want as human beings. We want to do these transactions, but we don't want to do them incorrectly because there are significant consequences when they go wrong. So in this case, I hear exactly what you're asking. How do I find the right real estate agent in Austin where I'm going? And also in there is, how do I protect myself when I don't know what good looks like? And that's the real question, because you don't need to find the best agent in Austin. You need to know how to test any agent across the country, no matter where you're moving. If it's Austin, if it's Denver, if it's North Dakota, it doesn't matter. And these questions that we're going to go through, they're the ones that are going to reveal everything to you. It's called the 5-question test. So by the end of the video, you're going to know these 5 questions. You're going to have them memorized. You're going to save, subscribe. That way you can come back to it. And in this, you won't have to hope that you pick the right person. You're going to know. So let's get into it right now. And we're going to start with question 1. How many FHA loans have you closed in the last 12 months? Now, with question 1, with this one, it lays the foundation for everything else. And I'm going to tell you why. Everybody says that they work with first-time buyers. It is free to say, but closed loans, that doesn't lie. So an agent who's closed 5, 10, 15 plus deals in the last year using FHA loans, that is significant experience. You don't want to be their lab rat in this case. Now, to be fair, the real estate agent isn't the FHA loan expert. The lender is supposed to be that. But I'll tell you what, it certainly helps to have that synergistic pair, that complementary pair, to walk through it together so they're setting your deal up for success. Now, so what number should you look for? You heard me say it. Real estate is not rocket science, but it is an emotions-based business. It is a business where you need to know the details of the contract and the constraints there. So I go with 5. The more, the better. But if you have 5, 10, 15 in the last year, you're doing okay, right? As a real estate professional, you'll be able to get stuff done. The questions that I would ask, though, as a follow-up to that is, what is your on-time close rate? So for FHA loans specifically. So FHA, that has more moving parts than a conventional loan. The appraisal process, it's stricter. You have mortgage insurance, and that adds a layer. Then you have property standards that are higher. Agents who track their FHA rate, the closing rate, they take it seriously. When they know that answer, that is what I call a proxy variable. So you are able to discern based on that response. And if they know their stuff and they're able to just rattle it off, score. It is a positive indicator. And I'm going to tell you what a good answer sounds like. It's going to be, I closed X number of loans last year. I had X number that were late. This is why they were late. And this is what we've done to fix it. That's accountability. That's someone who tracks their performance and knows what's going on. The red flag answers that I would suggest, it's, hey, I do all loan types, right? So I've helped a few first-time home buyers, or my personal favorite, FHA. It's not that different than conventional, because it absolutely is. And we're going to get into why in just a minute. So number 2 is going to be, can you explain mortgage insurance premium to me right now? And this question is what's going to separate agents from who know FHA loans to who don't know them. And it's going to help you figure it out very quickly. So MIP, mortgage insurance premium, that's what makes FHA loans fundamentally different from a conventional loan. And a lot of first-time homebuyers, they don't fully understand it, which is fine, but your agent, your lender, they need to know this. They need to be able to work together. And a good answer, what that sounds like in this case, it's FHA has 2 MIP components. There's an upfront MIP of 1.75% of the loan amount, and that gets rolled into your loan at closing. And then there's an annual MIP that's paid monthly, which for most buyers right now runs between 0.55 and 0.85%, depending on the loan term and the down payment. So unlike PMI on a conventional loan, the FHA MIP doesn't automatically drop off when you hit 20% equity. For most loans, and those are ones that are made after 2013, it actually stays for the life of the loan or until you refinance. That answer should take them about 45 seconds to say. It's clean, it's fluent, it's no hesitation. They know their stuff. And a bad answer in this case, it's going to be, well, that's really the lender's job, or a blank stare, or yeah, it's like PMI. It's not like PMI. And an agent that doesn't know the difference might not be the one that you want to work with. I had someone call me the other day and we were talking through their situation. They had already relocated for work. They are intending to use an FHA loan, and they got to the final numbers at closing and she was blindsided. She called me looking for specifically somebody who knew what they were doing in that city that she was in. The agent that she had used, they gave her a payment estimate, but nobody had walked her through the upfront MIP there. Now, to be fair, it wasn't the agent specifically, it was the lender in this case, but it was referred to by the agent. She walked away. She got to the end of the table and said, no, this is not what I'm going to do. I need a different option. Her loan amount was for $4,000 more than what she had planned for. So the total loan amount. So not catastrophic when you break it down on a monthly basis, but nobody had explained it to her. She was furious, both at the lender and the real estate professional, and she walked. She said, the folks that I trusted to walk me through this, they were not there for me. So I don't blame her for taking off. She got her money back. She did it before the timelines were required. But in that particular case, it was principle, and her team let her down. Now, questions 1 and 2 that we just went through, those are about protecting your money, understanding the loan mechanics so nobody catches you off guard. And if an agent, if they stumble on either of those, my recommendation is to be done. Go, find somebody else. But if they pass, here's where it gets interesting, because the next 2 questions are about protecting your deal. It's where most agents fall flat, even when they know the loan product whole. Now, question number 3 here. What down payment assistance programs do you know about in this area? Largely a lender question, but your real estate professional should know that as well. And this is the question that most agents, they never actually get asked. And most of them cannot answer it. And here's the thing about FHA loans. They're designed to be stacked. FHA sets the floor, 3.5% down, lower credit score thresholds. But on top of that, FHA, look, most states, and cities in this case, they run down payment assistance programs as well. These are grants, these are forgivable second loans, match programs, and an experienced FHA agent that knows exactly what's available in the market they work in. That's one that you might listen to. Now, a good answer in this case, it sounds a little bit like this. In this county, we have 3 active programs right now. There's the state HFA program that covers up to 5%. And there are 2 city programs. One stacks directly on top of the FHA with a 3-year forgiveness window. Here's who runs them, and here's how we'd apply. Specific, current, and actionable. These are solution providers. Now, a bad answer in this case. You can look those up on the HUD website. That's not wrong, but that's not someone who's done this 20 times. That's someone outsourcing the work that they're supposed to already know or at least be familiar with. And here's why this question, why it matters. If your agent doesn't know these programs exist, you're not going to use them. And that's real money gone out of your pocket, a missed opportunity. Not a few $100s here. We're talking 5, 10, $15,000. There's thousands of dollars at stake here. And it's just gone because you never got informed about it. That's why you hire the right teammates, and more on that in number 5. But question number 4 here: what property issues kill FHA deals before closing? This one sounds technical, but the answer tells you whether this agent has actually been through FHA deals or just started them. Now, FHA, they have minimum property standards. This is where the appraiser, they're not just valuing the home, they're actually inspecting it against FHA's minimum requirements. And there are specific things that will kill your deal. Peeling paint on homes built before 1978. Missing handrails, broken windows, water intrusion signs, roof condition, utilities not functioning at the time of appraisal. An agent who knows the FHA loans and they walk into a house and they're looking around with that kind of lens, they're going to know if this is a good buy for your situation and if it will pass FHA standards. If it's not, if it doesn't, then the seller has the opportunity to fix it, but at least you go in with eyes wide open and inform opinion as you are walking around. Now, in this case, when you ask this question, a good answer, it's going to sound like the most common deal killers that I see are X, Y, Z. And that looks like there whenever you're walking through, being able to point these things out. And so whenever you're walking through that home with that person, if you know this information and they don't, that's a disconnect. You are supposed to be working with a professional, a pro. I walk my buyers through what to watch for before we ever set foot on that property. And anything built before the 80s, I mean, that's a huge one, right? Because there's some stumbling blocks there. And it saves us at appraisal because then we can point these things out ahead of time whenever we do our inspection objection. Now, our inspector is going to help us with that too, but it's being prepared if you actually want to see this through to the end. A bad answer in this case is going to be the inspection. It's going to catch anything. Well, there's 2 types of inspections. They're not the same document. They're not the same person, and they're not the same process. Agent who doesn't know this, look, they're not the right person for you. The deal will get killed at appraisal. And that means that their FHA experience is just lacking. It's not the right teammate for you based on your situation. They're great people. I have a high degree of confidence in that. It's just the experience in order to serve you may not be there. Now, I worked with a family who got under contract. It was a 1965 build. It was a great house, great price, and they loved it. But the FHA appraiser, they actually ended up flagging peeling paint. And it was on the exterior of the house, of course. That's really where that one trips you up. But the seller, they refused to fix it. Now, the deal fell apart 3 weeks before their scheduled move date. Their agent, the one that they had, they were completely blindsided. A more experienced agent, they either would have negotiated the repair up front or talked through this as a specific risk of getting the deal done should the seller not fix it. And that's ended up being what the reality was. Now, question number 5, can you connect me with an FHA experienced lender and inspector? So ask this of your real estate professional. Question 5, this is what I call the team question. And here's what I want you to do and understand. Your agent is one player among many to make this successful for you. They are only as good as the team around them. You need a lender who's closed hundreds, dozens of FHA loans, knows the current MIP tables, moves fast. You need an inspector who understands FHA minimum property standards. That way they can tell you before the appraiser shows up, and you can potentially get that fixed ahead of time as part of your negotiations. And if you're using a down payment assistance program, you need a lender who has worked with that specific program as well. Because they're doing all the paperwork and they have to understand all the quirks and the timing and the requirements that slow closings down. Your lender is a critical piece of this. And a good answer when you ask this question, it's going to be, hey, I send my FHA buyers to 2 lenders, and here's why. I trust each of them, and my inspector, they have done over X number of inspections for FHA loans. He'll flag anything the appraiser is likely to call out before they ever get there. It's specific. These are names. These are reasoning behind each one of them as well. The clear answer in this case, I work with whoever you bring. That's an agent without a bench. And on an FHA deal, especially, A lender who doesn't know the product or an inspector who's never seen an FHA appraisal or the red flags of an FHA appraisal, that can blow up a perfectly good transaction. You don't want hope. You want a bench. You want options to be able to select from, and your real estate professional should have built those relationships way ahead of time in order to help you make the best decision. And this is what I mean when I say you need the right team, not a big team, the right team. A good agent, again, they should already know who that is before you even ask. Now, the caller called in, they said they were looking remotely at these properties. Okay. So here's 2 additional tips to consider if that's you. And this happens more often than you would realize. First is, how do you handle showings and walkthroughs for out-of-state buyers? The agent, they should have a clear system. So that should be video walkthroughs, a process for remote reviewing, whatever it is that they use. They need to have something. And if they wing it, you're going to feel that winging it energy whenever you're 4 states away, because they're going to be disinterested, or at least not having a process. They're going to be fumbling over everything. And you have a tight negotiation window. You're trying to get someplace and get things done. You don't have time for that. And the second thing is, have you closed an FHA deal for a buyer who is out of state the entire time? So some agents, they have. Others haven't. I would say it's not a deal killer, because there are some parallel examples. A lot of times with the military, if you're closing VA loans, well, that's a very similar experience right there. But they need to know how to handle remote notarization, digital closing tools, the communication rhythm that works across time zones. And in this case, the title company, they're orchestrating all that, or at least helping to. The ones that haven't, they're learning on your deal, and that never really gives you the warm and fuzzy, does it? So let me run through this test one more time. And that's question number 1. How many FHA loans have you closed in the last 12 months? Number 2, explain MIP right now, 45 seconds or less. Number 3, what DPA programs exist out there? That's down payment assistance. They should know without looking it up. 4, what kills FHA deals at appraisal? Peeling paint, roof, water, things that the seller won't fix that the appraiser called out. 5, who are your FHA lenders and inspectors? Names, not I have people. So the agent who passes all 5 tests, they know the product. And the one who stumbles on 2 or 3, they're learning on your deal. And your first home purchase, your first major wealth move, that is not the right classroom for these folks. And last thing, verify the answers. Ask for references, specifically someone who has helped close FHA deals in the last 6 months. Call that person and ask, hey, did this real estate professional know what they were doing? And then go out there and read the actual reviews, not just the star ratings, okay? Look for first-time buyer, FHA, the words themselves that describe you. And those are signals. If you see 3 reviews about conventional deals and nothing about FHA, that's a signal, right? Not that they're wrong, not that they're bad, but just know, make informed decisions, ask better questions, and make sure you're working with the right person. And if you want help, and if you want to skip that search entirely, call me. My link, it's in the caption below. Schedule some time. We come up with a strategy for your situation. And then I will connect you with a values-aligned professional anywhere in the country, so that way you are set up for success. You don't have to use them. And I have a guarantee where if you don't like that, you don't get along for whatever reason, then come back. I have somebody else that I've already vetted, and I'm ready to do the handoff. But that way, you know what you are looking for. You are an informed consumer. That call does not cost a thing to you. I'm Weldon Hobbs, and when we're making big decisions, we start with your life goal. We optimize it for wealth, and then we focus on the real estate. Remember, good decisions, they start with good information, and I'll see you in the next one.